Redditors who rage quit a job without thinking. What was the last straw? I need a summer job while in high school, so I applied at a local grocery store to bag stock clean. My first day there was some sort of confusion as to what I was supposed to do or to whom I was to report. I was sent to the front counter where the customer service manager gave me a till and told me to open a register. Mind you, I'd had zero training on a register. I didn't even know how to put the till in it, for duck's sake. I told the lady this and was told to go do my job. Within about 2 minutes at the register there was a line several deep, and I'm just standing there with the till in my hands. The customer service lady comes storming over asking why I had such a line, and I tried again to explain to her that I was supposed to be a stocker or whatever and that I knew nothing about operating a register. She called me stupid in front of the customers, so I handed her the till and told her to go duck herself. Walked down the street in my uniform and got a job at another grocery store. Went through several interviews and started a new gig. I'd be providing call center support for Windows, maybe some Apple support. Nothing I couldn't handle. I am, after all, IT support. Hell, I even cleaned the mouse while trying to take the technical test. I get a start date and am told it'd be 2 weeks of training. No big deal. I can do 2 weeks of training. I show up on day 1 of training, and it's support for Whirlpool washing machines and dryers. Hold the ducking phone. What? That's right. Classic bait and switch. I got up, walked over to my hiring manager and said, I quit. You hired me for Windows support, not washing machines and dryers, and walked out. 2 weeks later I get a call. Hey, this is your manager. I'm calling to find out why you haven't come to work in 2 weeks. Apostrophe. I guess you didn't get that memo. I quit on day 1 because your company lied to me. Apostrophe. Got an $80 paycheck. About 7 years later I got a letter in the mail that a class action lawsuit had been filed against the company for labor law violations. 2 months after that, I got an 8-cent check in the mail. I giggled. So, the building my job was in closed down at 9 PM. Everybody except security had to get out so they could shut everything down. One of my supervisors, I had 8 of them, yes it was like office space, kept scheduling me until 9:30 PM. I repeatedly brought this up at the end of the night and was always told no, that's just a mistake, you need to leave. Fast forward 3 months, I get called into a disciplinary meeting. The reason? I kept leaving early. I had like 8 attendance points from leaving early because one of my idiot bosses, who worked in the same building and definitely should have known when it closes, couldn't figure out how to schedule. I explained my side, which is pretty fucking obvious, and they say they'll hold off on any disciplinary action while they look into it. A couple days later they told me they weren't going to remove those attendance points. I told them to shove it up their ass, walked out, and went to a concert with some of my, now former, co-workers. Director of a preschool I worked at pulled me into her office and literally foaming at the mouth told me I had no business going to my higher up to report suspected child abuse. Walked out, never looked back. If I'm not mistaken, the preschool is now shut down. My boss came back from his 30th smoke break that shift, saw me taking a breather after I cleaned the entire kitchen on my own, and told me to stop being so unproductive. I was working at a local bike shop at the time and had a minor-ish surgery. The shop called me and told me I needed to come in because another mechanic called in sick. They were aware of my surgery and just didn't care. I quit during that phone conversation. Boss not doing payroll before leaving on a business trip and leaving it to the poor office manager to tell people they weren't gonna get paid on time. I walked out of the staff meeting saying I'd be back when paychecks arrived. By the time I got home I was mad enough to call my ops manager back and quit. Why didn't the boss do payroll? Stated answer was printer toner cartridge at home was empty. Guess he never heard of writing checks with a pen. I worked for a landscaping company that operated more like a MLM scheme. I only worked for them for like a week. They mostly targeted students and immigrants who needed work in the summertime and would take anything with promises like make your own schedule, make X, Y an hour, and work outside. They target desperate people, those without proper documentation even, and they paid cash so everything was under the table, and I'm 100% certain they were not paying taxes. I was stupid enough to go for it when I was 18. Went to the info seminar and instantly got terrible vibes, but I figured, I don't have anything else going on, so why not? The day they pick us up in a cube van, like 15 people crammed in without seat belts, and drive us to a location. Then they give us aeration machines and we go around trying to sell plants and aerating lawns. Basically, whatever you sold, you would get to keep 10% of the money and the company kept the other 90%. You also had to work like a 15-hour day in the hot summer sun, no supervision all day, no bathroom breaks or anything, unless you chose to took them yourself, and you'd have to find a bathroom to use too. Anyway, I did this for a few days and the pay was miserable. Let's say you collect $1,200, well, you get to keep $120. $120 for 15 hours is $8 per hour. After helping an elder getting the best option for him and not the most expensive, I get called to the office. Boss, do you feel bad deceiving customers? Me. Yeah, of course boss. You're in the wrong place, fuck you and your miserable life, bitch. I worked as a stock boy in the back of Hollister, clothing retail for those unaware. Never really had interaction with customers but was still forced to buy their clothes to wear to work. They had all these rules about hairstyles, fingernails, and facial hair. One night I came in to start a shift at 2:30 AM to do a floor change. So middle of the night and the shift would end around the time the store opened up. I had the slightest bit of stubble on my face, like a day and a half's worth of stubble. My manager, at 4 AM, told me she had a problem with my facial hair and that when the mall opened up I better go buy a razor and shave before anyone saw me like that, as she would have to send me home for the night. I basically said, well, lucky for me, I was planning on quitting anyways. Good luck with the floor change, and walked out. Went and got a biscuit breakfast. Went home and got in bed. Worked at Best Buy in high school. Some people from a different store transferred over, and one of them took over scheduling from my supervisor. She gave me a total of 10 hours a week, down from my usual 30 to 40. I had to save 2 checks just to pay my shitty cheap cricket phone bill with those hours. I complained to my supervisor about her scheduling, and they raised me to about 15 hours. I couldn't understand why or what I had done to get cut so much. When my birthday came close, I reminded her constantly to not schedule me that day, which shouldn't have been a problem considering my shit hours. She told me constantly not to worry. Schedule comes out and that's the one day I'm scheduled a full 8 hours. I try to contact her and they tell me she's on vacation and I can't change my schedule. I called to quit that same day. Then later I find out that the manager who I called when I quit had been snuggling money from the store at the moment I called her and was leaving the city. She never told anyone I called to quit. IT manager here was working for a company that didn't consider us a real department. Lots of things leading up to this, but the last straw was an announcement that a satellite office was being shut down and any employees that could would relocate to our office. We, the IT department, found out about this at the same time as the rest of the company, months after the decision had been made. Nobody told us anything, and this would involve obscene amounts of extra travel, hours, and stress as we accommodate the moves, the infrastructure, and everything else involved with such a move. I left in the middle of the announcement. Follow up, my boss, CFO, threatens me to fire me if I don't do the work. Lol. Can't fire someone who's already quit, taps temple. Then the CEO calls me and asks me back to negotiate. I agree to come back for 6 months if I get a 25% raise for myself and my entire team. After 6 months, I left and they laid off everyone else. Call center, inbound sales. They told me I needed to have higher sales numbers and gave me training materials / tools to help. It suggested that if the customer wanted only one service we offered, that I add on other services after the call had ended and hope the customer didn't notice. I questioned this, and they said, that is how Dave has the highest sales for the past 6 months and I should follow his example. Yeah. No. It was a Wednesday. I got a call from my mom when I was at work to tell me that my dad took a turn for the worse and maybe had a day or two left to live. I immediately went to the company owner, small business, and told her the situation and I really needed to leave right away since he lived a few hundred miles away. She told me she understood, but since I was working on some important projects, I should just come in on Saturday since he should be dead by then. I said okay, turned around, walked to my desk, deleted all my personal files from the computer, left my badge and keys on my keyboard, and walked out. Dad passed on Friday, and I turned off my phone that night until the following Wednesday or Thursday, while I spent time with my family. I already hated the job and the owner for other reasons, and found a new job a few weeks later, so I can't say I regret anything.